And welcome once again to Flashpoints. I'm Bob Orr. With me, Juan Zarate, as always. Juan, good to see you.
Bob, great to see you.
Benghazi. The White House came out, dumped a whole lot of emails that seemed to say there was this big argument between the State Department and the CIA about how to term the language of a terror attack or not a terror attack. Has this put the issue to bed?
Absolutely not, Bob. I think what you have here is a debate around two different issues. One, the Accountability Review Board report and how the State Department reacted. Were they prepared in terms of security? You've seen a lot of attention about Ambassador Tom Pickering and former chairman of the Joint Chiefs, Admiral Mullen, and what they did, and they're going to be testifying, et cetera. So there's a lot of attention there. There's a lot of attention around the talking points, the tension between State Department and CIA, the role of the White House. All that's interesting, Bob, but I think it misses a fundamental question and point, which is, was there, at the start of the attacks, when the attacks started, was there an assumption that this was a terrorist attack? Or was there an assumption based on what was happening in the region? Remember, the embassy in Cairo had been taken earlier because of the video. What were there assumptions built into how the White House and others were reacting that assumed from the get-go that it was not a terror attack, but instead was something related to the demonstrations? Obviously, we know that people understood this was al-Qaeda related, that this was not related to the video, and that's part of the talking point debate. But a key question from my perspective is, did this impact the way that we responded? Because if we thought it was a terrorist attack, there should have been an assumption that there was potentially follow-on attacks to come, and that meant resources should have been scrambled to get at least close to the region in case there were more attacks to follow in North Africa.
So you're saying if we made the wrong assumption at the outset that this was just an outgrowth of a protest, we may have been a little bit back on our heels rather than forward-leaning with response?
That's exactly right. And so all the debate now is kind of how we talked about it after the fact. But I think a key question, and one that wasn't answered by the State Department review, because that review was not about what happened in the White House or what happened in terms of interagency coordination. Remember, I used to do this for a living. The question is, how are you assuming and looking at the incident as it's happening? Because if you think it's a terrorist attack, not only are you responding to save lives there, but you're assuming the worst case scenario. This is part of an ongoing set of terrorist attacks. Remember, it's September 11th. And so an assumption should therefore be, you know what, our embassy in Tripoli may be next, our embassy in Algiers. So what are we doing to scramble the region?
Well, let me ask you a question. Whether it's a terrorist attack or just a criminal mob attack, it's still an attack. Americans were under attack. They were killed. If you're the guy making the call, don't you automatically move?
I think that's right. I think you move heaven and earth to do what you can to save your people who are under attack, or others who are in the neighborhood, who are American citizens, American personnel, who may come on under attack for follow-on attacks. So absolutely right. You know, that could be a fire, it could be a natural disaster, whatever. But what I'm saying is, if it's assumed it's a terrorist attack, if the assumption from the get-go is that, it's not only that you're responding to the actual attack, but you're assuming the worst in terms of follow-on.
You're prepositioning.
Exactly. And I think that question hasn't been asked, and the debate that's going on isn't going to get us that answer. And frankly, the answer may not be political in nature. It may be that people just had the wrong assumption as they were looking at and hearing about the attack as it was unfolding.
Let me ask you one real quick point, and then we'll wrap this one up. Attorney General Holder the other day seemed to signal that big progress was being made in the investigation. How important is it for the FBI to identify who did this and have some kind of justice prevail?
I think this is critical. It's critical for America. It's critical for the administration. A key thing that the president promised was justice would be done in terms of the killing of 4 Americans, the first American ambassador killed since 1979. So the U.S. has to demonstrate that it's going to hold people accountable. And the FBI and the administration have to respond to criticism that, you know, what has happened? Not only did we have the security breach, not only did we have these killings of Americans, not only all this rigmarole politically about what you call it and the talking points, but we haven't even held anybody accountable. And so the whole thing is a mess. And so if the administration can say, look, we've been good, we've captured people who were responsible, we're going to bring them to justice, or who knows, we've killed them, you know, that would be significant and would start to change the narrative in terms of Benghazi.
We'll be following that one in the days to come. Juan, thanks as always.
Thank you, Bob.
And thanks to you for watching Flashpoints. I'm Bob Orr. We'll see you next time.